Greetings from our super deluxe studio on the second floor somewhere in Saline. We come to you this evening with the Vladcast program for September 2017. After a long hiatus, I am here once again with you, your host, John Hill, and my special guest tonight, Father Gregory Joyce, rector of St. Vladimir Russian Orthodox Church Parish in Ann Arbor, Dexter, Michigan. Good evening, Father. How are you?
Good evening, John. I'm great. How about you?
I'm glad to be here.
Me too.
After a long hiatus.
It was a long hiatus. We took a long summer vacation this year, but I think we're going to come back strong with some quality information for our viewers.
Well, how was your summer vacation?
You know, it was really good. I have to say, it was very good, and I'm back and sort of raring to go. How about you?
Absolutely.
Good.
Let's go for it.
All right. Sounds great.
September.
Yep.
Means the festival if you're at St. Vladimir.
That's right.
Tell us about the festival and the V word.
The V word, yes, the V word, a very important volunteer word. I think that, I guess we chose September for our festival because outside of Great Lent, it's liturgically the busiest month. And so why not also
make it even busier?
Exactly. So I guess we really didn't think that through all that well. But, you know, it's established in September. People like it. They look forward to it. This is our 5th year already, which is really hard to believe. And as always, we need volunteers. So friends, now is the time. If you haven't yet volunteered, we have, by the time this episode is posted, we'll have a little more than a week before we start. And we have actually had, I have to say, probably the best volunteer sign-up we've had in 5 years.
Now,
but we still need more folks.
Aren't you a little worried that we might get too many volunteers and not have enough to do at the festival?
I hope, John, that will happen sometime. I'm looking forward to that day when I say to someone, you know what, there's too many people to do the work, just go have some fun, come back later. And, you know, if we get a chance to do that, that would be great. Because it's nice if people can rotate, go have some fun, come back and work, and so on and so forth. And then the work is more fun. So I hope that'll happen this year. In some areas, we're completely booked. You couldn't even sign up if you wanted to. In other areas, there's still space. So
you couldn't sign up if you wanted to for what sort of duties are we talking about?
The bar is full. There's no more volunteer spaces in the bar.
Well, we do have several Russians in our parish.
Right.
Sorry for the ethnic dig there, guys.
Well, you know, I think that's a sort of an Eastern sort of broad thing. So in any case,
the Irish would make that joke.
Starting with the Irish and going east. Yes. So anyway, that's full, and all the other spaces, there's a little bit of place to sign up. But again, it's been a real good turnout. So, but I would love to see everything full, you know, so that we absolutely know everybody who's going to be there. And so we know that people will come on the day of the thing and volunteer, and we appreciate that. But if you can sign up ahead of time, that's great. You can find the sign up on St. Vladimir's
Okay, how about this, Father? Let's perhaps entice the potential volunteers with a description of some of the activities and how much fun it would be for them to volunteer. For instance, I don't know. Take it away.
Well, I would say anywhere where you're going to be interacting with the guests, which is almost everything that our volunteers do. There's only a few volunteer places that you wouldn't be actively interacting with guests, and we understand there's people that may not want to interact with guests. But if
in the dungeon, washing the dishes.
That one, you know, changing the trash, collecting the trays and so on and so forth. You don't interact with folks too much there, but if you're serving food, you know, if you're working in the kids' corner, if you're working in some of these other places, you're going to interact a lot with people, and that's a lot of fun.
Selling tickets?
No tickets this year.
What?
Nope. We decided that was just too much of a drain on resources, and so we're just going to have more cashiers, and people can pay with cash or credit card. So that's
well,
going to...
how will we count the number of people that visit the festival?
We're going to have to approximate that based on how many meals we sell. But I think we'll get a pretty good hold on that. It's a food festival. Most people come for the food. And so we'll get a pretty good idea of that, we have a nice little program that captures everything that we sell in a database, so we can check from year to year what we're selling and what we're not. It's pretty neat. And so the cashiers are doing all of that, but it's very fast. You come through the cashier, he presses a couple, or she presses a couple of buttons. They take your credit card, slide it, or take your cash, and away you go. So we have a very smooth checkout process, and we're able to capture all that information that we need for later. So I think it's going to be really much easier to deal with without tickets, and we're looking forward to trying that this year.
Okay.
Yep. So I think this will be a lot of fun. 16th and 17th of September. We hope everybody can join us. Please note that the service schedule that weekend is a little changed. We have Saturday evening services at 7, and it's just Vespers, not Vigil. And Sunday morning is 9 o'clock rather than 10. Mm. And so,
but regular liturgy.
It's same liturgy.
It's just going to be done an hour earlier?
Yeah, we start an hour earlier just so that by 1 o'clock when the festival begins, we've finished liturgy and we haven't rushed, and everybody's ready to go again.
Okay.
Yep.
I wonder if you would care to share your favorite moment of the festival. What's the one part of the festival that you like the best?
Honestly, the part that I like the best is meeting new people and allowing people the opportunity to learn about the church. I mean, to me, that's just really exciting part of the festival, because the church is open for the whole festival, right? We have certain times when there's a church tour, the choir sings, then we have a very short presentation, people get an opportunity to ask questions. This is a great opportunity for us to introduce people to Orthodox Christianity who have never been introduced to the faith. And thank God for every single festival we've had, new people have come to the church. So, very excited about that. That to me is, I really enjoy that part. I mean, the entertainment is great, the food is delicious, it's all great. But for me, just intrinsically, my favorite part is the church tours, where the choir sings and people who've never been exposed to Orthodox liturgical music are impressed, not in a way of, like in a proud way, but it's just something that's so refreshing and interesting and new to them, and then there's often a lot of questions after that. So for me, that's the best part. Really love that part.
Super. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, should we hit the calendar now?
Yeah, we can probably start talking about the calendar. Sure.
12 feasts. Are there any of the 12 feasts in this month coming up?
There are two. This is, like I said, this is outside of Great Lent. I think this is liturgically the busiest month, because you've got the two of the great feasts. You got some other stuff going on that we're going to talk about. So we have the Nativity of the Mother of God, which is the 21st of September, and then the 27th is the Exaltation of the Cross. So two big feasts almost right back to back. This year, for those who are very astute observers of the calendar, you'll notice that the Exaltation of the Cross falls on a Wednesday, which means it's a fast day. And it's always a fast day, no matter what day it falls. So if it falls on a Wednesday or a Friday, it's a fast day anyway. You don't have to fast twice. If it happens to fall on a Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, Saturday, Sunday, it's still a fast day. The Exaltation of the Cross is always a fast day, but this year it falls on a Wednesday, so we don't feel that.
Now, why is the Exaltation of the Cross a fast day, whereas some other of the great feasts are not?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's, in fact, in this month, also, we have two fasting days that are attached to liturgical
I know one.
What's one?
Beheading of John the Baptist.
That's right.
No wine.
That's right. That is the feast day. That and the Exaltation of the Cross are the only 2 days of the entire year, which no matter what day of the week they fall on, it's a fast day. Because they have a repentant character to them. The Exaltation of the Cross was a great celebration of the finding of the cross, but the cross also has a repentant character to it. So there are three kind of major feasts of the cross. Only one is one of the 12 feasts of the church. It's the Exaltation of the Cross, it's the middle holiday of Great Lent, it's always the cross, and the Procession of the Cross, the first day of the Dormition fast. So all of these days are Lenten days, and that's not a mistake. There is a sort of repentant, penitential, I would say is a better word, character to a cross holiday. So the Exaltation of the Cross is a great celebration of the finding of the cross, but the cross also has this penitential character to it, so it's always a fast day. And of course, the beheading of St. John the Baptist, it's a feast, but it's also a penitential feel to that as well, because we're remembering the death of the forerunner. So these are the 2 days of the year where no matter what day of the week the feast falls on, it's a fasting day. This year, St. John the Baptist, it's a Monday, so we'll have an extra fasting day that week. But Exaltation of the Cross is a Wednesday, so that we don't feel that as we do in other years when it falls on a day that's not usually a fast day.
And they didn't feel like taking a non-fasting day away.
Right, and thankfully, so because we're weak in that regard. But in any case,
and they're both in September.
Isn't that interesting? I think it's really interesting. So yeah, both of those days fall in September.
Okay, and September is the start of the church year.
Exactly. Yeah.
For some odd reason,
yeah,
they would start it in September.
Yeah, it's the indiction. This goes all the way back to the Caesars and the way that the calendar was then, and well, that's where when the church was sort of formed. And there's also this, if you notice, there's a sort of not overlap, but we sort of align with the Old Testament. Also, there are some Jewish feasts that always fall in September too that have similar.
Oh yeah, like
pieces.
which ones?
I think Yom Kippur is always. There's 2 Jewish feasts that fall always in September. I should have looked that up before. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but there are always a couple, and there's always been this understanding of the creation of the world being at this time of year, maybe September. So the indiction, the beginning of the church new year, is September 1st on the old calendar. That's aligned. That corresponds to the 14th of September on the civil calendar. So that's also a day when we have liturgy, thank God. So we'll have Vespers and Matins on the 13th in the evening, and 14th in the morning we'll have liturgy.
What would it take for a person to be able to go to liturgy on their name day?
Oh, that's good. I'm really glad you brought that up. So, basically at this point, thank God, the parish has gotten to the point where I don't have to work at a secular job to support my ministry, and my family and I are very thankful for that. It gives us, though, the opportunity now to have divine services. Let's say, for your name's day, John, if you wanted to take the day off and prepare yourself to go to confession and communion, you could ask me, as long as you ask me, far enough in advance, we could put that in the schedule that we're going to have service on that day, which is the 17th of December. Yeah, 17th of December, also St. Barbara. So I don't think we have any Barbaras, but in any case, if folks will ask ahead of time, as long as they're willing to come to the services and to partake of communion, I'm happy to serve. So we're happy to do that, and that gives people an opportunity, I think, which is a nice opportunity. I mean, what better way to celebrate your name's day than to be present at the divine services and to partake of Holy Communion? So,
does a vigil go with that?
Well, there will be an evening service the night before. It might be Vespers and Matins, it might be vigil. It depends on the rank of the feast of the saint. Yours, I would have to look. I don't think it's a vigil, but it might be actually a Palaiologos rank service, so quite high, but not quite a vigil. St. John of Damascus is one of the most important theologians of the church, and also with Martyr Barbara on that day, it's a really big day. So, for instance, if you wanted to do that, if you were able to take that time off work, and you could let me know that ahead of time, we'd put it in the schedule and we'd have the services.
Awesome. I think it's a Saturday.
You know what? I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. So it would be easier if it's a Saturday. So I'm for that. I'm all for that too. So please talk to me about this, because we have this opportunity. We should take advantage of it. Some folks are very diligent about it. Every year they'll ask me, say, I'm going to take this day off. Can we have liturgy? Great. I think it's a wonderful practice, and we want to serve liturgy as often as we can. We can't do it every day, but certainly for a special day for one of our parish family members, we'd be happy to do it.
All right. Let's talk about some more saints.
Let's do that.
Maybe a couple good saints for September.
We've got some.
Okay.
You want me to talk about some that I choose?
Why not? You know the calendar pretty well.
You know what's interesting? This September is just full of stuff.
You keep saying that.
We've got 2 of the married couples who are patron saints for the married also in September, right? You got Saints Adrian and Natalia, that falls towards the beginning on the 8th.
Now, these were married people?
These were married people
to each other?
Who were married to each other.
Byzantine people?
Yeah, this Saints Adrian and Natalia are from the very early times of the church. Yeah, very very interesting. She was the Christian, he was a pagan. She was, I assume that he knew that, but anyway, it's a very interesting life, and I posted it on the website. Unfortunately, we can't serve liturgy that day. Usually we do, but I have to be away that day. But I put the Lives of the Saints on the website, and I encourage people to read it. It's very interesting for husbands and wives to read, because the beginning of it, there's a big misunderstanding between the two of them. And I don't want to ruin the whole story, but let's just say that it's very ironic the way it turns out. They both end up giving up their lives for Christ, but the fact that he's a pagan supposedly and she's a Christian supposedly, anyway, it's very, very interesting, and I like it very much. So I hope people will look at that. It's the 8th of September, and if you happen to watch this Vladcast afterwards, you can go to the website. You just go back to on the homepage to the 8th of September. You can read the lives there. Very good lives, very good patron saints for the married, for many reasons, not the least of which is they had this little miscommunication, as we all often do, who are married. And then we have Saints Peter and Fevronia also, who are celebrated always on the Sunday after the Church New Year. So this year that'll be the 17th, which is the Sunday of the festival. So that Sunday we'll celebrate Saints Peter and Fevronia.
So their feast is like a floating...
Yeah, this is a new one, actually. Their actual feast day is during the Apostles' Lenten period. But because of the sort of honor that people give these saints, because there's such a veneration of them, there was a petition made to the Holy Synod to establish a feast day of these saints when people could get married. When people could get married on that day.
Okay.
Right? So you can't do that during the Apostles' Lent. So they created this feast day during September, which I think is a translation of their relics. I can't remember exactly, but in any case, it's a feast day, their feast day, and it always falls on a Sunday now. It was established in that way to fall after it's the first Sunday of the Church New Year, and a lot of people like to get married on that day.
So someone could request a wedding on the 17th of September?
Yes. If you request it now, the answer will probably be no, because that happens to be the festival also. But if you really want to do it, we could probably make it happen. But in any case, that's not always, in fact, not often.
That would be a real showstopper at the festival.
It sure would, yeah. That would be a nice church tour. Come for the wedding and then ask questions. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's why that feast is always on a Sunday and during this time of year when people can get married. So that's happening also. So two of the sort of couples that are most identified as patron saints of the married happen to fall during September. So that's really interesting too.
So 2 days, 4 saints.
Yep.
Good job, Father.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. We were pretty efficient there. And I mean, there's all kinds of other ones too. It's really just a good, but I don't want to just go on and on.
You mentioned Irish going east.
Oh yeah. That's good. We talked about that before we were shooting. We were talking about this. Very interesting phenomenon. So at the end of the month, we celebrate St. Sergius and Herman of Valam. It's the 24th, falls on a Sunday this year.
Tell people may not know what this Valam is.
So Valam is an island in Lake Ladoga, north of St. Petersburg. When the missionaries coming from Rus, from the south, came to this place, they found a thriving Christian community. But from where? Where did it come from? So it had been in existence for a long time by the time the missionaries got to these people. So
maybe they already went and they forgot that they had been there.
Well, that's possible. But I think that probably the more likely scenario is, at least this is a theory which I think is a very valid one, which has been proposed, that because the Irish had a practice of when a monk would reach maturity, in the East, that person, especially in Russia, would take the great schema, usually go to live in a smaller part of a monastery, dedicate his life almost completely to prayer with very few obediences, and kind of like the way the Desert Fathers lived in Egypt in the early times of monasticism. In Ireland, they had a different practice. They would build a boat, put that person in the boat, seal the boat, and just commit them to the waves. And wherever they would land, they would preach Christ.
Did they get some provisions in the...
I assume so. Yeah, I assume so. I don't know all the details of that. But the idea was that they became missionaries at that point. They had become mature monastics, and they went into the waves, and wherever they landed, they landed. Well, there is this sort of ring of monasteries around the Arctic Circle, the very northern part of Europe there, that seem like they almost certainly came from these monastic journeys. And someone at the Academy in St. Petersburg or Moscow, no, I forgot, in any case, doesn't matter, wrote a dissertation, which was very good and very interesting and made a lot of sense, that Valam was probably the easternmost outpost of that sort of ring of Irish monasteries.
Can you get there from Ireland in a sealed boat? Is it...
I believe that's possible.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a seafarer myself, but just kind of having in my mind's eye that part of the world on a globe, I believe that you can do that.
Yeah.
And so it really makes a lot of sense chronologically. Like, where did those people come from? Where were those Christians? How did they come from the sky? Of course not. So somehow someone brought Christianity to that part of Russia, and it seems as plausible as any other explanation that it came from this.
And you love that story.
I do.
It's got Irish.
It's got Irish.
Russians,
it's got Russians.
It's got Orthodoxy.
That's right. It's got trust
everything
God.
You love.
It's all good. It's just a wonderful story, and even if there was no truth to it, it would be great. But it really does seem quite. It seems quite logical. It seems quite reasonable. So, will we ever know? We probably won't know for sure. But the fact that by the time the missionaries got there at the end of the 10th century, and that community was thriving already, it seems to make a lot of sense.
Right. Well, speaking of dissertations, or theses,
yes,
or any kind of academic research, what is going on at the pastoral school these days?
Oh, John, I'm glad that you asked, because we, in September, start classes. We start classes for the new academic year begins. And this year, that'll be on September 11th. So actually I think at noon, we're going to have a Maleben. We'll put it on Facebook Live. Everybody can participate.
You will be in Chicago, or because
no, we'll do it here. We'll do it here. Since it's Facebook Live, we can just do that.
And it's a virtual
school. Yeah, so it seems like a good way to do that. So we'll do the beginning, the Maleben for the beginning of any good thing, and we'll serve that.
We should also remember to give a cheer for the church school at St. Vladimir's.
Yes.
At the same time?
That's right. Well, we absolutely.
School is starting.
That's right. We're going to start church school the Saturday after the festival.
Oh.
We used to try to sneak it in before the festival, and it just never worked. Right now everybody's kind of doing festival completely, and so we'll start the first Saturday afterwards. So if you haven't registered yet, please register your child. You can do that on the homepage of St. Vladimir's.
It's on Saturday.
It's on Saturdays, right before Vigil, and we'll continue to do that. Yep, at 5 o'clock. That's worked out really well. I think, we tried all kinds of different times and places and days, and that seems to work out the best, because it allows folks to stay for part of the vigil, for the kids to go to confession, who are old enough to do that. And now with Father Moses being here, and he basically serves vigil, and I can hear confessions right from the beginning. It really makes it nice. It's very convenient for the parents, for the kids. And so I hope that people will all the more register their kids for church school. We'll have youth choir at 4, as we've done in the past, church school itself at 5, and at 4 o'clock, when youth choir is going on, we'll also have an adult discussion group. So folks who have questions...
Oh, that's new.
Yeah, I think that's important, because...
What are you going to discuss?
Whatever people want to talk about. It's completely open 100%. So, and in fact, most of the time it'll probably be Subdeacon Dimitri will take that. I'll be around to answer any questions that need to be, but I think that's that's the way that that's going to work. And I think it's really good because a lot of times folks have questions, but they don't have time or the seeming ability to talk to me or Father Moses, and that's fine. But this is a great opportunity to have some of those questions answered.
Okay.
I would also, John, since we're talking about discussions, I'd like to plug, we have a Bible study going on in Adrian right now, and it is really
Adrian,
nice.
Michigan.
Adrian, Michigan.
Adrian and Natalia?
Well,
Michigan?
it would be nice. It seems that if we ever build a church there, it has to be named after those saints. But it's a really nice opportunity to get together, to learn a little bit about our faith, to ask questions. I really like it. And we'd be happy to do it in other places too. So if folks want to host a Bible study in their home, just talk to me about it, and we'll find a way to make that work. And I think it's a nice way to introduce your neighbors to Orthodox Christianity, and it's nice to have something like that in your home. So anyway, please folks, think about it, talk to me about it. We're very privileged, blessed, fortunate is probably the word I want to use, to have people in the parish who've gone through seminary or who are going through seminary and can lead these kind of things. So just because you ask me to start a Bible study doesn't mean you're going to see me every Wednesday or whatever, and we wouldn't. We can rotate, different people can come and talk, and I think that's actually really nice because you get different perspectives, different thoughts. I mean, we're not going to, it allows, I think, for a real nice diversity. So please, let's talk about that, because I think this is a nice way for us to kind of plant seeds in the community, not just physically located at St. Vladimir's, but in other areas of our parish as well. And geographically, we got a very large parish, so it would be nice to reach out a little bit to some of the corners of that parish.
Okay. Did you want to say anything else about the pastoral school?
I hope that people in the parish are going to continue to consider that for themselves. We've had one or two people go through the catechist program. I think that's really great, because it's very important to catechize people who are coming to the church, to catechize godparents who are going to be godparents. That's really important. And we need more people to do that. It can't just be me and Father Moses. And for instance, we really would like to have more women go through that program. Because sometimes when a woman is getting catechized, maybe she would like to talk with a woman catechist. And I think that that's a normal and a good thing. And so more people to do that would be great.
Okay. Anything else that we need to inform the loyal viewers?
About September? Wow, September's just so full. End of the month, of course, we have St. Sophia, Faith, Hope, and Love. We have a lot of people named after those.
These are people?
These are people. And virtues also. Yeah. Wisdom, Faith, Hope, and Love. Many women in the parish are named after these saints, and that happens to fall on a Saturday this year. So we didn't wait for somebody to ask, we just scheduled it.
The liturgy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So on
a lot of names days.
A lot of names days that day. So 29th in the evening, 6 o'clock, and 30th in the morning, 9 o'clock. That's an all-English liturgy, so we start those at 9. So we invite everybody with those names to join us.
And not just those names. If your name is...
anybody can come.
Is Vasya, you could
come. It would be great to have you.
Or Vanya, or...
Absolutely.
Fedya.
Or Masha, or whatever, but...
You can come.
Yep, we will not keep you out of the church.
Or
but
Alice.
Alice is also welcome. But especially those who have their names days. I hope that they can come. I realize people do sometimes work on Saturdays now, even Sundays. That's just the way that society works. But in any case, we have this opportunity. I hope people will take it.
You could possibly even say that you hope people would show up.
In fact,
you have faith.
I have faith. I have faith that people will exhibit wisdom and will be there for the service. Right. But before we go, we should plug one thing in October, because it's October 1st.
You've already plugged many things. October.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we're participating in the local walk. It's called a crop walk to alleviate hunger.
Matthew 25.
Yes. And
how does that verse go?
That is, when I was hungry, you gave me to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me to drink. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was in prison, you visited me. When I was sick, and you visited me, so on and so forth. We aren't going to do all of that at the crop walk, but we can at least help to alleviate some hunger. And this is going to be, I think, a really nice opportunity. So it'll be Sunday, October 1st, All the information is on the website. It's at church too. We would like people to sign up ahead of time and try to raise some funds. Maybe people will pay you, $5. Well, they'll pledge for every mile you walk. It's a 5-mile walk, something like that. And we have a goal that everyone will raise $100. And if we can do that, we can really make a big impact in the local community. Now, this is a sort of outreach of Church World Service, and International Orthodox Christian Charities often works very closely with them. So 25% of the funds that are raised will stay local, 75% will go to alleviate hunger overseas. So I think that's, or maybe not overseas, but outside this community, right? So based on the sort of lineup of hurricanes we have going across the Atlantic now, maybe that's all going to stay in the United States, I'm not sure, but 25% will stay local. And I think it's a really important opportunity for us as a parish to show support for this request that our Lord is giving us to feed the hungry. So I hope people will join us. I think it's going to be very nice. We'll get t-shirts. You'll get a St. Vladimir's t-shirt if you participate in this, and it'll be a nice way for our parish to kind of take part in our local community.
Tell me this is not the last time that you will mention this.
It is not, John.
Okay.
John. I will try not to mention it ad nauseum, but I will...
Announcements.
Ad infinitum, perhaps. At least often. I will mention this because I really think
it's important.
It's important for us as we live in this community, right? Most of us don't live in Dexter, where our parish is located, but we still need to be part of that community. And this is a focused Dexter-Chelsea walk. And so I think that it's important for us to be there to kind of fly the St. Vladimir's flag and to do good stuff. And we can kill both of those birds with the same stone.
All right.
All right.
Any parting word? No more plugs.
No more plugs. No, I
no.
won't plug anymore. Yeah, I think this is a month with a lot of divine liturgies, a lot of extra divine liturgies. Try to choose at least one during the week that you will go to.
One extra.
One extra, right?
And don't skip Sundays.
Well, no, not to replace the Sunday, but try to come, for the Church New Year, or for the Nativity of the Mother of God, or for the Exaltation of the Cross, beheading of St. John the Baptist, Saints Faith's Hope, Sophia, Love, whatever. Choose one and try to come to it, because I think it's really important for us to touch the church, to touch the life of the church, the liturgical life of the church outside of Saturday, Sunday.
It's a different feel for these
it is.
Extracurricular
it is,
liturgies.
isn't it? Yeah, I think it really is. And I think it's a little quieter. There's fewer people. It's maybe a little bit more prayerful sometimes. The choir is different. It's usually a smaller choir. Things are simpler. It doesn't mean that Saturdays and Sundays are not good. They're great. Sunday's the most important day, liturgically, unquestionably. But it's really nice to touch the church on some other day of the week. And I think it's very edifying. So I hope that people will take advantage of that. This just happens to be a month with a lot of those services on weekdays.
And with that, we come to the end of our September 2017 program. I encourage you to volunteer at the festival, to attend the festival, and to enjoy the festival. We will see you again very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Father Gregory and I on the Vladcast program. Good night.